Hello and welcome to Inside South Asia with me, Bhairavi Singh. Spring is in the air certainly, and what a week it has been for politics in South Asia. Well, with Pakistan's roller coaster ride to the ballot, to India now gearing up for its largest democratic exercise, elections this summer, to the Maldives President Mohammad Moizu facing impeachment charges amid political turmoil. We have all the highlights here, also on the show. Well, pollsters thought the Pakistan election was a done deal. It would be Nawaz Sharif's comeback win. But the elections have thrown more than a couple of surprises. From Sharif nominating his brother for Prime Minister to Imran Khan's party doing exceptionally well despite the legal challenges. There is no certainty election 2024 will lead to political stability for its 241 million citizens.
Even after polling was done last Thursday, this group of Pakistan's politicians, Nawaz Sharif's PMLN, reportedly backed by Pakistan's all-powerful military and even political experts, had us all believe a sweep was on the cards. Sharif even put out a victory speech.
बहुत खुशी की बात होती कि हमें पूरा मैंडेट मिलता और हम अक्सरियत पार्टी बनते.
Then, as results started trickling in, a big bubble burst. The last week has been about alliance talk, pariahs turning potential partners, foes turning friends, opposing ideologies singing in unison, all for a share of that power pie. Delays and speculation and pot shots all around became the new order of the day, along with the realization that the next government would always be on a weak wicket. Lack of fair play that was always an undercurrent in these elections became the dominating theme.
We were quite taken aback when the election results changed overnight. How did the tables turn in favor of the PMLN, although the people had voted for Imran Khan? You must have realized that this was not an election, it was a selection.
Hardly any crown, only thorns in sight here. Monday after the polls, the Pakistan Stock Exchange was dominated by bears that dragged its benchmark KSE 100 index down 1,800 points, with analysts projecting more volatility till political uncertainty continued, adding insult to an economy already in a shambles. The connect was visible, as was the humongousness of the challenge that lay ahead for any incumbent to the hot seat.
Because of the explosion of the population in Pakistan, unbridled explosion of population in Pakistan, it's a very, very essential for any government that comes into power to generate economic development, so that the majority of the people who are really need help and jobs and other things, especially the youth. So I think that this will be a very difficult task.
The immediate challenge, the current IMF program, ends in March, just as the new government will take power. The winning party's first order of business must be to re-enter negotiations with the global lender to maintain stability. The present standby arrangement IMF deal had called for tough measures, including the elimination of subsidies on essential commodities and allowing the rupee value to be determined by the open market. Year-on-year inflation in January was 28%, according to the Pakistan Bureau of Statistics. Fuel prices were increased again last week, and citizens are expected to be hit with huge electricity bills this summer. Compound that with a looming debt payment crisis. The central bank reports $24 billion of external debt obligations due by June 2024 and $77.5 billion in the next 3 years. This at a time when government-run units are running on the brink, being sold or outsourced or just dissolved. Forex reserves are hitting rock bottom. Just about $3 billion means barely enough to cover just 2 weeks of imports. No room for populist decisions ahead. Outright public flak is the order of the day for any incumbent.
Huge challenges. That one thing, which is quite worrisome to people, the economists, the political analysts, and that is a huge problem what we are facing. And one of them are that the debt servicing. We are under that. The external debt is about $126 billion. And internal debt has really touched the peaks, and that is 46 trillion Pakistani rupees. So the debt servicing by itself has gone up to 74% of the total revenue collected.
It gets even bigger without the strength of a majority government. The pressures of balancing coalitions amid an expected barrage of continued public discontent means the chaos is here to stay. Bottom line, big brickbats and bigger challenges await the victor of these elections in Pakistan. And celebrations will be short-lived at best.
Well, from Pakistan to India, the countdown to the biggest elections on the planet is underway. Close to 2 months to go before polls. Here's sizing up the sheer scale of this monumental exercise.
They call 2024 the election year, and it doesn't get bigger than this. 968.8 million. That's the figure given by the Election Commission of India this week of the number of people out of a population of 1.44 billion who have registered to vote in general elections likely in April-May this year. That's the largest for general elections not just in any country but in India too. The biggest ever election in the biggest democracy on the planet. Some other details put out by the ECI. There's a 6% increase in registered voters over the last general elections in 2019. More than 20 million young electors in age group 18 to 29 were added over last time. There's a significant increase seen in registrations amongst women, youth and PWDs. And female voters' registrations surpassed male voters. Look closer at the sheer number of potential voters, bigger than all the big ones. A little over 200 million people were eligible to vote in the Indonesia elections on the 14th of February, the largest single-day election. Elections to the European Parliament across 27 member countries between the 6th and 9th of June will have 400 million eligible voters. 160 million Americans are registered to vote in the US presidential election on the 5th of November. In Mexico on the 2nd of July, 96 million registered voters will have a chance to vote in federal elections. There's clearly no close second here. Much has been said in the past of the scale of the Indian election exercise, poll parties and polling booths in the remotest areas, the depth of coverage and more. New dimensions of canvassing and campaigning and advertising emerge in the outreach to this massive electorate. Mega party budgets stand assured. Experts predict an explosion of digital, interactive and dynamic content, online and offline. Targeted messaging and real-time optimized data analytics are likely to be in focus, as are transparency and accountability. Extend that to technological innovations, drones, CGI, 3D anamorphic, AR, VR, mobile integrations, geofencing and more. This great big festival is only just taking off, and the sky is the only limit.
Well, the political and administrative mess in the Maldives shows signs of spiraling out of control as well. Mounting economic woes and a Chinese debt trap that looms large adds to calls for impeachment process against the president, Mohamed Moizu. With the democratic process already hit, will the opposition in the Maldives prevail?
Just about 3 months since Mohamed Moizu took oath as Maldives president. Look back though, and Moizu's troubles have piled up. The cup of woes threatens to spill over within his country, in the region and the world. The latest is the Maldivian parliament voting to postpone the general elections due in March. Another blow in what's turned into a saga of missteps and miscalculations. The IMF spelt it out last week. The the Maldives is at high risk of external and overall debt distress. And that said, uncertainty surrounding the outlook remains high and risks are tilted to the downside. President Moisu's mentor, former President Abdullah Yameen, who ruled till 2018, borrowed heavily from Beijing for construction projects. Some 42% of the Maldives' $3 billion debt burden is to China, as per the World Bank. It's come to a stage where Moisu says he cannot launch any new development projects, calling it an economic situation his administration inherited. The plank of the Maldives tilting away from India to what he called a sovereign foreign policy was seen as the passport to Moisu's victory. Designed and deliberate anti-India moves highlighted that, from signing agreements favouring China over India, to allowing a Chinese research vessel into the region despite India's concerns, to asking Indian troops to leave the country, things haven't quite worked out as he wanted. Verbal attacks on India upset his countrymen and opposition parties. They say he went too far calling New Delhi a bully, and that proper diplomatic norms weren't followed. He's even tried to moderate his stance a bit, but things remain far from repair. It burst into the open with these pictures. Near the end of January this year, open anger at President Moisu's push to bring in pro-China ministers. The widely shared clip also showed some members pulling each other down from the podium. This has expanded into a Moisu out pitch, and main opposition MDP bringing in an impeachment call. Reports say the opposition, that is the biggest party in parliament, has collected enough signatures to get Moisu removed, with strong enough indications that a countdown for the anti-India Moisu government is underway. Where does the Maldives and its leadership go from here? The challenges loom large and strong.
Well, India's homegrown digital payments platform, Unified Payment Interface or UPI, will now be available in South Asia. The payment service was rolled out during a virtual ceremony on Monday. And the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe and the Mauritian Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth attended the ceremony. So what is its significance and how does the technology hold the key to India's economic ambitions? Take a look.
India's digital payments platform UPI is going truly global. 2 more countries are linked to the ever-growing UPI network now. The island nations of Sri Lanka and Mauritius are the new entrants into UPI. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed the launch as significant for the Indian Ocean region.
फिनटेक कनेक्टिविटी के माध्यम से केवल क्रॉस बॉर्डर ट्रांजैक्शंस की ही नहीं, क्रॉस बॉर्डर कनेक्शन को भी बल मिलेगा। भारत का यूनिफाइड पेमेंट्स इंटरफेस यानी यूपीआई आज नया दायित्व निभा रहा है, यूनाइटिंग पार्टनर्स विद इंडिया।
With Sri Lanka and Mauritius linked to the UPI system, both countries can access the platform to settle transactions. India is the largest trade partner of both countries, and the ease of UPI payments is likely to boost the ties further. Indian nationals travelling to these 2 countries will not have to rely on other payment means. Both countries are hugely popular with Indian tourists. India is also the biggest source of tourists for Sri Lanka. The launch will enhance digital connectivity between the 2 countries. It is also expected to strengthen India's robust cultural and people-to-people linkages with Sri Lanka and Mauritius. UPI has been a game changer for many in India. From groceries to other utilities, UPI has made it easy to pay at the click of a button on a smartphone. No wonder it has a place of pride in India's growth story. UPI has grown from just 1 million transactions in October 2016 to over 10 billion transactions now. UPI accounted for 75% of the retail transaction volume in 2022-23. The greatest change that UPI has brought about is in the way Indians transact. UPI's global expansion, especially to Sri Lanka and Mauritius, is part of India's focus on its neighbourhood. India's Neighbourhood First and Sagar maritime policies aim to enhance ties with neighbouring countries with an eye on China. Sri Lanka and Mauritius are crucial to the policies as both are in the Indian Ocean region. A safe, secure and well-connected Indian Ocean is in every country's interest in the region, and UPI is likely to play its part to ensure that.
Well, Nepal is tapping into what it calls the pink economy with measures for rainbow tourism targeting the LGBTQI community. Government officials say Nepal's progressive laws make it a safe and welcoming destination for the queer visitors. Here's more.
The wedding of Anju Devi Shrestha and partner Suprita Gurung in Nepal's Bardia this week is claimed to be the first registered lesbian union in South Asia. In November last year, Maya Gurung and Surendra Pandey became the first same-sex married couple in South Asia. The wedding came after years of legal wrangling. The two unions are milestones in Nepal's prohibiting discrimination based on sexual orientation.
We are the first same-sex couple to register marriage in the country. There was a lot of talk and discussion around news. People from around the world lauded the landmark verdict and the rise of LGBTQI community in Nepal. We are very happy with the change. Now, there is definitely an environment for same-sex marriage, discussions taking place. With our new venture, the NGO, more people are connecting.
Maya and Surendra floated the pink tourism idea to Nepal's tourism board. Their non-profit group, Maya Ko Pehchan, which translates to recognition of love, looks to attract more LGBTQ travelers to Nepal by joining hands with other tourism entrepreneurs and officials. Nepal's tourism ministry is looking to harness the aspect to boost an industry flagging post the pandemic.
It's a huge market first. The globalist study shows by 2030, the pink tourism market will grow more than $550 billion a year, which is massive amount of economy. And if Nepal tap into this, the Nepal's tourism can grow easily, 20% more than what we have now.
The Nepal Tourism Board is already in talks with major tourism stakeholders to prioritize inclusivity policies and provide jobs to the LGBTQI community members. Nepal launched its first ever Trek Guide training program for the LGBTQI community last year to elevate the queer experience in the tourism industry. The first cohort of 25 trekking guides will soon be available to help queer travelers. Nepal Tourism Board is planning to further increase the skill-based training programs for the LGBTQI community of trekking guides, tour guides, entrepreneurs and art with an approximate budget of $150,000.
I think the pink market is really, really very special because they have been unfortunately made to feel a little different in the past. I find them culturally, socially, and environmentally much more conscious than the regular market. So that is the kind of tourist that every destination wants, including Nepal. And also, they are also high-paying markets because most of them are like dink couples, like double income, no kids.
As per the research firm Reports and Insights, queer tourism is a huge global pie, expected to be worth $610 billion by 2032. And Nepal feels it has the potential to tap it.
Nepal for decades has lured thousands of visitors and travelers with its mountains and rich cultural heritage. But now, with its inclusive LGBTQI+ policies and laws initiated by the top court recently, Nepal is now aiming to promote pink economy and tap into the multi-billion-dollar market of the LGBTI community that the travel experts have said. Therefore, the Nepal Tourism Board has joined hands with the community members to promote pink tourism. And the Nepal Tourism Board has also been providing training to the community members of tour guides, trekking guides to promote inclusivity policies in the workplace. Nepal did make history by becoming the first country in South Asia to legalize same-sex marriage. Saloni Murarka for WION World is One in Kathmandu, Nepal.
Well, that's a wrap on Inside South Asia. But before we go, we leave you with visuals of the Himalayan nation as part of a growing global effort to return lost artifacts to countries. Idols of Hindu gods were returned to Nepal in January. These statues are now currently on display in Kathmandu. Take a look. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.